But yeah, so we transitioned. I complete the program. We transitioned out to Idaho. Had a hard time going from being in like a gangland hierarchy and being respectful, where every word you say to somebody can get your, like you would say, wig split. You know what I mean? To going into some high class suburban kids who are privileged and they're squares, and you know, like they would play games like, "You're a bitch." And it's like, I'm like, what did you do? Like, get off. Like, you can't let them, everybody's gonna think I'm a bitch, right? That's what you're used to, you know? So I just ended up quitting the basketball team, man, unfortunately, and moved back to Vegas. And ended up getting into boxing pretty heavy for a while. And here's another crazy story. Once we were able to complete that program, I made a big change. I definitely wasn't going back to jail, right? Mm-hmm. No guns, no drugs, no more violence if I can help it. And just live a straight life to, you know, for people like us, you know, just stay free. Freedom. I understood freedom and I understood the consequences, especially now that, my record is sealed as a juvenile, but if I go rob a store right now, best believe they're going to find those files. Yeah. That's how do you think I got that whole pamphlet printed, you know what I mean? Or that case printed. So, I got into boxing, and it was a way for me. I had a lot of PTSD from the violence of my stepfather, jail, in the lockup facility, and then, just everything I had been going through in my life. I had a lot of PTSD, and I needed a way to be physical. It was really strange, man. I went from being a kid that was scared to death of a confrontation to needing that rush or that edge. Yeah. So I found boxing, and that turned out to be great. And here's a crazy story. So there's a guy named Sean Doak, and he was one of the people that advocated for rite of passage. Now, I said a lot of bad things about this program, but let me say this as well. Yeah, there are some horror stories, but there are also kids that straightened their life out and went to college because of that program. I would send my kids to that program over prison anytime. You know what I mean? It was rough, but it was a wake up.
Do you think there would have been another option that could have been better for the kids outside of that you could think of? If you had the opportunity to actually send to try to reach a kid like yourself, would you have opted for something now with your hindsight for something else besides that rite of passage?
Let me say this, because when that guy walked into my room and asked me where I was from, and I got beat up for gangbanging, and it made me stop gangbanging. When I knew I couldn't act out or do what I wanted to do, and I had to behave myself like a young man, because if I didn't, I was going to get put on my head. If it wasn't for that being there, I don't know if I would have changed as much as I did. And so while I don't advocate for kids being beaten, I don't advocate for kids getting messed up, we should change it a little bit, but I think that we're young men, why do we mind our father? Why should we mind our father? Because he's a man. He can put you on your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, he put you through a wall, you know? For some reason, young men especially really need that threat of something physical, because for some reason, us as men,
especially in a situation like that, look at you, like everybody's wolves. So when you see that, even reflecting on myself, because my stepdad was a piece of shit too. You know what I mean? So I had to feel like I had to find my identity, and it was like, for me, getting into confrontations kind of built me up as who I was to try to make me feel like I was somebody. Right. But when you get to the pen and you see some serious stuff, you're like, oh man, this shit ain't for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? You start recognizing it, because you see dudes up in there, the biggest dudes getting checked.
Yes.
And then you start thinking, okay, well, all right, this is serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to be sitting up in here like this. So I can see where that perspective as a younger person, the way the guy, put hands on you in that situation, it would almost be like taking you and putting you in the ring with some, and like, look, man, and you realize you ain't as tough as you thought you were. And so you need to find another option.
Right, because what happens if I get certified? I'm in there in prison with that gang stuff.
Yeah.
I'm getting stabbed to death.
Yeah.
I would have lost my life. I got lucky that I was there and that happened to me. Honestly, to go back and look at it, I would have had it no other way. Now, like I said, I don't think that kids should be beaten and stuff, but like you said, these are young wolves. These are not normal kids. These are not everyday kids who are just going to high school and getting beat for no reason. No, these kids are gang members. They've shot. You know how many times the detectives were up there solving homicides and kids would go missing for weeks because they're down in New York or wherever they're from getting questioned by the feds or somebody for multiple bodies? Those kids from Chicago and Gary, Indiana, and all these places, they'd be there for 2 months and get pulled. They're getting tried on 2 murders. You can't be gentle with these guys. You know what I mean? That's why when they put those cameras in, it was over. They can't put your hands on them no more. Now the place gets set on fire. The staff get kidnapped, shoving staff inside of closets, running around, setting the whole site on fire. That was way after I left, but it don't exist no more, you know?
Oh, wow. So they took that place. They shut it down, huh?
Had to shut it down, turn it into all girls facility for young girls that were in prostitution rings.
Wow. So they I guess, like you said, it took a couple of those kids like, well, we tired of staff.
Yeah. They can't put our hands on us no more?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We're not running. Oh, they can't make us run? I'm not coming out of my room. Oh, they can't make someone out of our room? Let's set this on fire. Yeah, you know what I mean? Wow. Like, crazy, man. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't have had it no other way. I think, unfortunately, for kids that are like me, that were like me and are like me and are going to go through what I go through, if you don't have that threat of physical, violence there, you're not going to have control of kids like that. You got a bunch of alpha males in there, man. I mean, just like in prison, you got a bunch of, especially at that age, testosterone driven.
No, I'm just, you have me flashing back. I'm thinking like juvenile hall, and I remember sitting up in there on the weekends, man, and dudes up in there just wilding out.
Yeah.
Like dudes just like gang banging everybody. Yeah. And I'm trying to think like a lot of those dudes, you couldn't have scared them dudes. No, they wasn't about like, dude, they done seen it all.
Yes.
And like you said, they done probably caught some bodies. They didn't tell nobody. Just all kind of stuff.
They really lived that life.
Yeah, they lived that life. Yeah, it's totally different.
So you got to put some fear in them.
Yeah.
And, boxing, guy might not fear me, looking at me, walk in there, put the headgear on. And I'm not saying me specifically, but a real fighter, get lumped up, get touched, get concussed. The fear of God will be in that man's eyes the next time he looks at you. So that's what they do they had to do some of those kids, man. And, it was a rough life. It was tough, but I deserved every ounce of it. I pointed guns at people, man. I could have killed somebody. I could have took somebody from their family. I could have lost my own life. I really scared a lot of people. I always get worried, Herc, that my past is going to catch up on me. That I'm going to walk out one day and get robbed for everything I got in my pockets by some young kid. You know what I mean? I always felt like I deserved something bad to happen to me. Like maybe I didn't pay my debt enough. But I look back at a lot of the experiences and I feel like, we needed that and we deserved everything we got. And
then you say you got into boxing?
Yeah, so we got heavy into boxing. And there was a guy named Sean Doak who was an advocate for the rite of passage. And in Northern Nevada where I went. And a lot of bad things I said about this camp, but there were a lot of kids who got out and went to college, who got out and they made sure that when you got out, there were actually staff members who cared and made sure you didn't go back home. They tried, you know what I mean? And I know for a fact that there were some kids that got saved by this program. So I make it sound bad, but I want to if anybody sees this that from that program, you did the right thing by having this program and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
But this guy, Sean Doak, I ended up having my first amateur fight. And the guy that was supposed to corner me dips on me. So I have no coach. I have been training myself for the most part anyway. And I'm walking up and down the line trying to find an opponent. I'm like, you got to fight? How much you weigh? You got to fight? How much you weigh? Because I had trained so hard for this.
Yeah, I got to do something.
We're doing something today. You know what I mean? And I find a fight. This kid from Wildcard Gym, Freddie Roach's gym here in California, and Wildcard. And I don't have a coach though. And they're like, you can't fight. You don't got a coach. I'm like, no, listen, I'm over 18. I know what's coming with this. I'm fine. I'll take, you know what I mean? Whatever. They're like, no, you have to find a coach. So anyway, I bump into this guy named Armin who owns City Athletic Boxing. And he was there with Sean Doak, the guy from the Rite of Passage Academy who interviewed me when I first got sent up to Rite of Passage. And he's sitting there with the kids. And it turns out they have a boxing program for those kids now. And they watched me fight. And then I got right back involved. I had got away from the Rite of Passage for like a year or so, getting back, dropping out of high school, going over to Vegas. But by the time I was ready for my fight, bumped right back into one of the guys from the program. And I see all these kids who were me 3-4 years ago. You know what I mean? That haven't got set up yet. They got a local program, little young knuckleheads.
Yeah, pre-program.
Yeah, pre-program. Bunch of knuckleheads. But they're respecting the hell out of me. And I'm like, I wonder why. And I realized, dude, you got gloves on. You just won a fight in front of them. They respect the hell out of you right now. You're a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll listen to you. So, me and Sean and Armin kind of work it out. And for the last few years, especially before the pandemic, we started a boxing program for at-risk youth. Now we got these kids, these knuckleheads coming in. You know what I mean? And the cool part is that we have full control, because as we talked about earlier, if the camp didn't have that hard hand there, we wouldn't have listened. Well, these kids, they come to a class and, they might be 16, 17 years old. We could throw the headgear on. You don't want to respect me? You think you can whoop me? Because you do. You get these big, you'll get a kid 6'3", 220.
Thinking he can put hands.
Thinking he can put hands on me.
Yeah.
Throw the headgear on. You know what I mean? We throw the headgear on. I play with him a little bit. He realizes he can't play with me. And now he's at attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we never abuse it, man. It's a great way to get their attention. They respect me very much. And I love these kids so much, because in my mind, it's like I could have died. And for every story like mine, there's a million stories of kids who ended up dying or going to prison. So, and now we built up the boxing, boxed for a good amount of years, and now just turned 31 not too long ago, started a lighting company. And now we're here, man.
It's like funny you say that, because I'm thinking about like the options, and I remember when I was at the boys' ranch, they had
I heard about
interior. They had an auto upholstery class,
Uh-huh.
and so I wasn't there long enough to really get it though. But the dude was there. He had an old Thunderbird, and then we used to be in there like sewing. I learned how to use a sewing machine.
Yeah.
But we were in like a neighborhood where that neighborhood actually didn't like my neighborhood I was from, and then the dude who worked there, he had a program with the boys' ranch, but then. We see somebody pull up with D's, and and I'm like, dang, he's probably getting a sack or something.
Yeah,
He was still new dudes that they come through there or hook up my interior, because he would do their interiors and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could tell he was on something, maybe
right.
Something, but it was like that little bit. But I'm thinking like, when you expose kids to options, like I said, boxing, auto upholstery, auto body,
yes,
welding.
Yes, we had welding. I mean? Yes, exactly.
All those trades, I always promote that on our channel. These trades, these are life changing.
Yes,
dude, you can work for yourself and get jobs and be your own boss and make a lot of money.
And this is what I try to explain. Now, this is where I want to go forward with helping the community here. We want to get these kids, and it's like traditionally it's welding or it's automotive or whatever. Why not get do you know how many artists? Those taggers?
Oh, yeah.
Come on. How many? 50% of these kids are tagged, and they're great artists.
Yeah, sick.
Have a tattoo class.
Yeah.
Let them learn to tattoo.
Yeah.
We had computer class. I did Photoshop. That's what I chose for my trade. You know what I'm saying? Digital design and digital marketing. And what if they would have had, I always thought in my head, for like $100 each computer, you could have a little recording studio set up at each one. They can record vocals and learn how to audio engineer. I mean, all these things that these kids want to do. What do they want to do? They want to tattoo, they want to rap, or they want to play sports.
Clothing, streetwear brand.
Clothing, streetwear.
Yeah.
I mean, we could really make it for these kids where they have not only options, but options that they're interested in. And who cares if they don't end up being a rapper? They learn how to become an audio engineer. They are a great tattoo artist now. And I understand.
Or even like photography, like we're doing social media photography, all that stuff, filming. And there's so many options. Like you said, it's all exposure though.
Yes.
You got to be exposed to it until somebody shows you.
Yes.
You maybe seen something on YouTube, but you never knew that you could do it.
You don't know you could do it.
Yeah, you could do it. Yeah.
And you said it off camera. You said that a lot of these kids are not educated. They've never been exposed to anything else but the hood. They haven't even left their block.
Yeah.
A digital what? A what? A YouTuber? Is that what you're talking about? Until they get exposed to it and be like, wow. Yeah. They don't even know what their talents are.
No, you have no idea.
And then they
get to jail and they start drawing. This guy's like, he's a just off the chain artist, or these kids, like you said, they could have been designing clothing.
Yes.
Because dudes get in there and they be altering their prison uniforms.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Dude,
blew my mind.
This dude got a fly ass. Like he was like, dude, where you get that from?
Got it tapered.
Like this dude looks like he's on the streets. You know?
Man.
So it's like, dude, you can do that on the street and make money.
Yeah.
So there's so many hustles, and that's one of the things I always tell people, man. Look, man. You got to try a lot of different things because you never know what your talent is.
Yeah.
And you get caught up, and then it's like, dude, you're a wasted talent.
Yes.
So it's like, it's crazy that you say that, man. So I think that's a blessing that you guys are doing that. What's some of the things we can expect from you in the future, man?
Yeah, so I did start my YouTube channel. we basically just uploaded my own videos, my war stories, things that I've done in the past. It's storytelling. You know what I mean? You could probably expect a lot of storytelling videos coming from me. Also, we're going to keep helping these kids. If any of your viewers, would like to learn more, if they have kids or any kids that are watching this right now that want to reach out and find other options, you'll have my contact info. I'm sure
we'll put a link in the description.
Yeah,
too.
man, hit the link. Get a hold of me. I'm not famous. I can answer DMs and emails, man. That's the biggest thing for me is when a kid reaches out to me.
Yeah.
I have kids reach out. Don't bother me. Please do it. That's what, I got a second chance at life, and I would love to help save as many kids as I can, Well,
I think it's an honor having you on the channel, man, and you telling your story, because we don't get too many stories from the youth perspective. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really went in depth about like my juvenile, but it was on Vice, about me, getting caught up. But yeah, it starts young, and a lot of guys I can see like how they become career criminals from that point.
Yes.
Because if you don't break that at a young age, then you're going to continue. And most guys you get into prison, they were in YA or
yes, of course.
some type of juvenile lockup.
Very rare is it just straight to prison.
Yeah, very, very rare, very rare.
Probation, house arrest, all that stuff happens first. Before we cut, for an instance of what you just said, a lot of kids become career criminals. When I got out and I went back to Vegas and saw the kids that I was hanging out, remember we were talking about how my friends in the beginning were doing meth and stuff? They were all cracked out, all methed out. Pure game. I mean, you would think that you were hanging on the streets, the worst street in LA. You know what I mean? Like, they were gone. They had all caught bodies, or they were all methed out, or they were all in prison. Before I left, they had just started experimenting. In the 2.5, 3 years I came back, they were gone. And that's how we lose people. That's how fast we lose it.
Yeah. Take you under.
That's it. 15 to 18, he's gone.
Yeah.
19, 20 years old, life in prison.
Yeah.
Or in a casket. And that's the critical point, man. You see, I watched, there's a kid in my head right now, rest in peace, man, that I remember playing football with him. 13, 14 years old, playing football, the nicest, greatest kid in the world. Last time I saw him, offered to smoke a crack rock with me. Not that long after, dead. Left somewhere for dead. Brother, gone. Family, gone. And all of our homies are like that, man. For the homeboys I got watching this, you guys know all of our friends are gone,
And now it's like, just the pills.
You know what I mean?
You don't even do it. Back then they used to be street drugs, but the pills now it's like...
It hit everybody. Nobody's safe from the drugs now.
No.
Nobody's safe from the drugs now. It's incredible. You got suburban mothers.
Yeah.
Doped out.
Yeah, doped out, man. Doped out.
Crazy.
And then, like you said, over the counters. So it's like, the game has really changed, man. And, we're trying to make a difference and just show a different perspective in people with the success stories so that hopefully we can inspire some of these younger people,
Yeah. One thing that I was really hoping for is I know you guys get a lot of interviews and a lot of stuff, but I'm hoping maybe sometime in the next year or so that, maybe we could just keep the positive vibes going and every now and then just reach out across platforms and just be positive for the youth. I try to, any interviews I do, I try to, whoever has the platform, I try to express my experience and try to open everybody's viewers' eyes to our kids are our future. And that sounds corny, but it's like that 14-year-old kid is going to be 18 before you know it.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the one with the gun in somebody's face,
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier when we were talking off camera, where if you don't have a father figure or a male role model, and then that kid doesn't have one, and then it just keeps going. So there's no change in that whole legacy.
Right.
Everybody keeps
in
repeating.
That cycle
Keeps repeating the same, because it's not a legacy at that point. It's a bad cycle.
Right.
But you keep repeating the same mistakes. So having somebody to kind of step in, and a lot of these kids, I get a lot. I don't have any kids, but I do have a bunch of kids to a degree, because kids across the world, reach out and say, Big Herc, man, I watch your show, and I stopped hanging out doing this and that. And that makes me feel good, because I was that juvenile kid, no dad, and just trying to find my way. And it's like, that's my way of giving back and having people like you on the show that can share your experience, because there's some kid maybe in Russia, maybe in Brazil, maybe in, who knows, Morocco or France that's going to watch this and be like, man, and it'll wake something up inside of them. Because, you don't have to go to jail to wake up.
No.
You don't have to get locked up.
You just hit it on the head. That's the last thing that I really, if I can't get anything through any kids that are watching this right now, one day you're going to wake up and you can't leave. That's the one day you're going to wake up and you're just never going to have your life again.
Yeah.
It seems fun. You seem free right now. It doesn't seem like it's coming, but I guarantee you it's a lot closer than you expect. And one day you're going to wake up in a cell or you're not going to wake up at all. And you can stop right this second. You can stop right now. And tomorrow morning you can make a different choice. You don't got to be a doctor. You don't got to be a lawyer. But you can stop thugging and stop being dangerous.
Yeah.
Save yourself. I would love to hear some stories. People reaching out to you saying that this may have altered one or, a couple lives. That'd be great,
Well, like I said, the comments are going to be blowing up on this video, man. So, hey, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And, man, you guys make sure you look up his social media. It's all in the links. And subscribe, share the channel. Hey, man.
Appreciate
Big Herc, 916 and Vague. This is Fresh Out.